The princess's secret anxiety. Heartbreak. Kate Middleton slams the cruel judgment addiction faces. Her message is a raw, emotional call to action. Stop the shame. The royals are worried about your mental health. The stigma epidemic, unmasking the cruel truth of dependency. The Princess of Wales, Catherine, has launched a powerful, emotional intervention in the national conversation surrounding dependency. Her message, delivered to mark Addiction Awareness Week, is a searing indictment of society's failure to address this crisis with the necessary empathy and understanding. In a direct and urgent appeal, Kate warned that the national experience of addiction is fundamentally shaped by fear, shame and judgment. These words carry weight, cutting through the usual veneer of royal decorum to expose a harsh truth about human psychology and societal cruelty. She implored the public to actively work to bring the issue out of the shadows, transforming it from a private disgrace into a public health matter. Society, the princess insisted today, must finally show compassion and love to those dependent on drugs, alcohol, or gambling. This is not merely a call for charity, but a demand for a complete reframing of the moral lens through which addiction is viewed. Addiction, a complex mental health condition, not a moral failing. The princess, who serves as patron of the Forward Trust, the charity supporting recovering addicts and championing the week-long campaign, spoke with authoritative clarity. Urging people to show profound understanding, Kate stated, "Addiction is not a choice, or a personal failing, but a complex mental health condition that should be met with empathy and support." This statement is the cornerstone of her campaign. By explicitly classifying addiction as a complex mental health condition, she strategically moves the discourse out of the moral sphere, where it is viewed as an issue of willpower or character, and into the medical domain, where treatment and recovery are possible. But still, even now in 2025, people's experience of addiction is shaped by fear, shame and judgment. This needs to change, she stressed, highlighting the frustrating inertia of societal attitudes despite decades of clinical evidence. She added that this toxic social climate is what allows the crisis to metastasize. The stigma surrounding those who face addiction allows it to thrive behind closed doors, impacting families and communities, and ultimately ruining lives. The psychological impact of stigma is devastating. It forces sufferers into isolation, making the crucial first step of asking for help feel like an act of public humiliation. The data that demands empathy, a silent crisis. To underscore the sheer scale of the challenge, the Forward Trust commissioned an Ipsos survey for the week's launch. The findings are staggering, revealing that this is a silent, sprawling epidemic that touches nearly everyone. The poll, carried out in October, found that a remarkable 53% of the 2,124 people questioned had personal experience of addiction or knew someone who did. This number effectively shatters the illusion that addiction is an issue confined to a small, fringe segment of society. It is, statistically, a majority experience. The psychological consequence of the shame Kate is fighting is laid bare in the discomfort reported by sufferers. Of those who said they had direct experience of addiction, 53% reported they would be uncomfortable speaking about their situation with their employer. This fear of professional reprisal is a huge barrier to seeking help. The isolation extends to the most intimate relationships. A total of 35% would struggle to discuss it with a close family member, 30% with a friend, 28% with their GP. A startling 27% would even struggle to discuss it with their partner. Despite this crippling fear of disclosure, the public mood appears ready for change. The poll found that an overwhelming 81% of those surveyed agreed that those addicted or dependent on alcohol, drugs, medication or gambling should be treated as individuals who are struggling and need help. This demonstrates a significant gap between public sympathy and the willingness to overcome personal discomfort and stigma. Disturbingly, however, 31% of those questioned still agreed with the statement that those who experience addiction have only themselves to blame, illustrating the deep-rooted judgmental attitudes Kate is battling. The power of vulnerability, from sporting legend to recovery advocate. Kate's message is amplified by powerful voices who know the darkness of addiction firsthand. Former England and Arsenal football captain Tony Adams, a recovered alcoholic, is now chairman of trustees at the Forward Trust. Adams frequently highlights the turning point in his own journey, a difficult, honest conversation with his mother-in-law which kick-started his eventual recovery. In a video message released for the campaign, he offers a direct, powerful plea that resonates with the courage required to begin healing. If you are struggling with an addiction or a mental health issue, then please reach out and get help. The greatest thing I ever did was to say, "I can't do this." That single phrase is the ultimate act of vulnerability and the first step toward reclaiming control. The grim reality of the battle was recently underscored by another sporting icon. In a moving interview with The Mirror last month, viewed by hundreds of thousands on social media, fellow England legend Paul Gascoigne admitted, with heartbreaking honesty, that he had been unable to beat his addiction. These contrasting narratives, one of successful recovery, the other of ongoing struggle, illustrate the nonlinear, unpredictable nature of dependency and the constant need for support. Reframing the issue, kindness and understanding. The Princess of Wales, who launched the first Addiction Awareness Week in 2021 on behalf of the Trust, returned to the core message of hope and resilience. Recovery is hard, but with the right treatment, it is possible, she affirmed, shifting the focus from the problem to the solution. She concluded with a passionate call for collective action, stressing that society holds the key to making recovery accessible. We can reframe this issue with kindness and understanding, and we can help individuals and families coping with addiction know they are not alone. So please join the conversation. By talking about it in the open, together we can bring addiction and the harm it causes out of the shadows. This is the ultimate invitation, to shed the collective discomfort, to speak openly, and to recognize that addiction is a shared human experience that requires compassion, not condemnation, to heal.